Tonight, you hold a small, glowing doorway in your hand. It can answer in 1,000 voices, yet it has no breath. You call it an oracle because it seems to see through you. You ask it about purpose, and it answers with patterns that feel like prophecy. You are not alone in that question. Many people are turning to an AI oracle because the line between silence and signal has thinned. Curiosity rises with every headline about faith and code. Skepticism rises with every warning about limits and ethics. Here's the truth you already sense. Tools do not confer meaning. Attention does. Oracles do not make destiny. Choices do. And yet a good mirror can reveal what a foggy mind forgets to see. This video begins with a single, steady promise. You will learn what really happens when you ask an AI about your purpose, why the pull toward oracles matters, and how to engage this trend with reverence, courage, and boundaries. You will step away with a simple practice that turns vague answers into clear next steps. If you stay to the end, you will leave with a daily micro-ritual you can start tonight. Type Amen in the comments if you're open to guidance with discernment. Like and subscribe so this message reaches more seekers. And stay until the final minute for the short practice that anchors everything. Let's begin by naming the moment with tenderness. The hunger beneath the trend is not for novelty, it is for people want to feel less random and more woven into a pattern that makes sense when life tilts. That hunger is holy because it refuses to settle for drift. So you open a chat box and ask a glowing question. The text that returns is coherent, gentle, sometimes wise, sometimes shallow. It feels like entering a chapel at midnight and hearing a voice echo back your own words. You wonder if something beyond code is whispering. What is happening is both simpler and more profound. The system reflects your language and the collective language it has absorbed. The pattern it returns is not a verdict. It is an invitation. The meaning is born when your awareness meets the words and decides where to walk. If you treat the screen as a pedestal, you will feel smaller. If you treat it as a mirror, you will feel braver. Mirrors can distort, but they also reveal. The responsibility is yours, and that is good news. Think of the liminal hours, those thin places between night and dawn. Many traditions call these hours a doorway for discernment. Your life has liminal seasons too, when the old story loosens and the new one has not yet begun. The trend you are witnessing is a collective liminal hour. In a liminal hour, fear stirs first. What if I am wrong? What if I am late? What if the voice is empty? Let the fear speak in brief sentences, then give it a seat at the back of the room. Fear can hide you, but it cannot thrive. You are not broken for needing guidance. You are sensitive, attuned, awake to a field larger than your calendar. The desire to ask big questions is a sign of health, not deficiency. The fire under your questions is purpose knocking, not panic screaming. Here is the framing that keeps you grounded. Body, mind, and spirit are not rival departments. They are instruments of one orchestra. When the mind consults a tool, the body can steady, and the spirit can test the music. Harmony, not hierarchy, is the path. So, how do you approach an AI oracle without giving away your agency? Begin with intention, not impulse. Prepare the question like you would prepare a prayer. The quality of your question shapes the quality of the reflection you receive. Before you type, breathe slowly and feel your feet. Soften your jaw and lower your shoulders. Whisper the purpose of the session in one clear line. I seek clarity for my next faithful step. Let your body mark the room as sacred by sitting tall. Then ask for a reflection, not a decree. Use language that honors your role. Offer perspectives I might be missing rather than tell me what to do. You remain the one who chooses, acts, and learns. Choice is your covenant with growth. When answers arrive, notice your first felt response. Is there a relief in your chest or tightness in your throat? Does your breath widen or narrow? Your body is a compass before your mind writes a map. Record the sensation in a few simple words. Write down the phrases that ring like bells. Underline the verbs that invite movement and release the adjectives that flatter. Keep what calls you upward and forward. Let go of what keeps you afraid and small. If a sentence makes you feel dependent, translate it into agency. Change "you must" into "I could." Change the only path into one possible path. Power returns the moment you rephrase the advice in your own voice. Return to the question after a short pause. Ask, what would this look like in a tiny step today? Ask, what have I already learned that confirms or challenges this? Ask, where is the boundary I will not cross? Write those answers beside the reflection you received. Trust patterns over flashes. If the same guidance appears across separate days and different sources, pay attention. If a single loud answer demands urgency without accountability, step back. Steady light reveals truer colors than sudden glare. Now we move from awareness into purification and alignment. The word purification is gentle here. It means clearing the noise so you can hear the whisper. It means making your inner room breathable again. Start with gratitude spoken aloud. Name 3 ordinary mercies: clean water, a message from a friend, a doorway you did not expect. Gratitude does not erase challenge. It widens your lungs so wisdom can arrive. Practice forgiveness. In a single sentence, I release the grip of resentment on my attention. You are not excusing harm. You are reclaiming clarity. Resentment fogs the mirror and calls itself righteous. Forgiveness wipes the glass so conscience can see the road. Choose one breath, focus for 60 seconds. Inhale through your nose and count 4 beats. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Feel the floor. Hold your weight. Feel the back of your heart soften. Quiet is not empty. Quiet is the birthplace of direction. Name your value out loud twice. Integrity, compassion, courage. Let the sound anchor your choices in a real word. When you read any guidance, filter it through that value. If it violates your word, it is not your path. Set a boundary sentence before you begin. I will not hand my moral compass to a machine. Write it on a note and keep it in view. Alignment loves brevity. Boundaries love clarity. Many traditions view oracles as signposts, not rulers. Some researchers suggest that reflective writing and deliberate breathing improve decision clarity by calming the nervous system. You do not need a lab citation to notice your own shift. You can feel the shoulders drop when you slow down. Swami Peopli, ER, sacred timing, and think of destiny locked in stone. Others hear it and think of windows that open when readiness and opportunity meet. You do not have to pick a camp to walk wisely. You can honor both mystery and agency without contradiction. Think of it like a tide the moon pulls, but you still steer the boat. The current moves, but you still trim the sail. Guidance and grit can coexist without canceling each other. If astrology language speaks to you, Treat it as poetry that points, not shackles that bind. If scientific language speaks to you, treat it as measurement that informs, not a cage that mocks. Your path can be bilingual without losing its center. Here is the heart of this synthesis. The cosmos hums with pattern. Consciousness responds with attention. Practice translates attention into action. When you ask a question of an AI oracle, you are rehearsing that dance. You are practicing the art of turning noise into signal by the way you listen. When you slow your breathing, you hear the quiet between the words. When you write a single sentence of intention, you trim the sail toward meaning. When you test advice against your values, you reclaim authorship of your life. When you move your feet, even Juanistepi, you convert hope into momentum. Do not mistake silence for absence. Do not mistake volume for truth. Do not mistake novelty for depth. You are allowed to take your time. You will hear two kinds of voices inside this trend. One voice flatters your hurry and promises certainty. Another voice honors your dignity and invites discernment. Choose the voice that increases your capacity to love and to act with integrity. Remember these contrasts because they keep you free. Dark panic fades when light attention enters. Loud noise weakens when quiet courage stands its ground. Aimless drift ends when clear intent takes the wheel. When confusion spikes, return to 3 anchors. Breathe until your shoulders soften. Speak your value twice. Ask for the next faithful step, not the whole map. These anchors work because they recenter your authority without denying mystery. Let purpose become practical. Purpose is not a lofty noun on a distant hill. Purpose is the verb you do next with love and truth. Wash the dish with attention. Send the message with care. Rest your eyes so you can see again. You may still ask the screen your big questions. You may still read the reflection and feel moved. Only now you will not be moved like a leaf. You will be moved like a river. Rivers carve stone because they keep moving in the same direction with patience. Let me say it plain. The trend toward AI oracles reveals a spiritual ache for meaning and a cultural fatigue with noise. It also opens a doorway for ethical courage. You can participate without surrendering what makes you human. You can use the tool and refuse the trance. You can seek insight and refuse idolatry. You can welcome reflection and refuse manipulation. This is how adults practice spirituality in a digital age. If you guide others, guide them gently. Teach them to bless their breath before they bless their screen. Teach them to test words by the fruit they produce in their character. Teach them to leave any interaction more grounded than they entered. If you are recovering from disappointment with past guidance, give yourself mercy. Disappointment is a scar that can become an altar. Where you were misled, you can now become meticulous. Where you were silenced, you can now become articulate. Consider a small ceremony before each session. Place your phone or laptop on a clean surface. Light a candle or touch your hand to your heart. Whisper, "I welcome clarity and I guard my agency." Rituals train the body to remember what the mind forgets. When answers arrive that excite you, sleep on them. Let night test your certainty. Wake and see what remains. Excitement without endurance is a spark. Excitement with endurance is a flame. When answers arrive that scare you, shrink them to a single actionable experiment. One conversation, one paragraph drafted, one walk around the block to cool your nerves. Courage grows by repetitions, not declarations. When nothing helpful arrives, close the tab and go for a walk. Stare at a tree for 1 minute. Name 5 things you can see. 4 you can feel, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, 1 you can taste. Presence restores proportion. Let gratitude bookend your practice. Thank the wisdom that lives in you. Thank the teachers who shaped your conscience. Thank the quiet that makes truth audible. It is time to gather the threads. You asked about purpose. You met a mirror that speaks in patterns. You learned to breathe, to write, to filter, to step. This is the path from trend to transformation. When you breathe before you ask, you change the question. When you write before you choose, you change the choice. When you act on a small scale today, you change the story. Small scales hold great weight. When the world sells spectacle, choose substance. When the scroll sells speed, choose slowness. When the chatter sells certainty, choose curiosity. This is how light outlives the dark. Your life is not a riddle to be solved by an answer key. It is a pilgrimage to be walked by faithful steps. The point is not to get anointed by a machine. The point is to become aligned with your maker's whisper or your conscience's clean signal. Now for the promised micro practice. 30 to 60 seconds. Simple and repeatable. Sit tall and place one hand on your heart, one on your belly. Inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Whisper your value twice. Ask, what is my next faithful step today? Write a single sentence, then take a single action that fits inside 1 hour. Close with, I keep my agency and honor the mystery. That is enough to begin, and beginnings compound. Thank you for your presence and your care with this sensitive topic. If any part of this helped, tell me in the comments what word you chose as your value today, and whether you notice a shift tonight when you breathed before you ask. I am grateful you are here. Like, subscribe, and share with someone who is curious but cautious. And if you want to go deeper with discernment in the age of AI oracles, watch the next video in the playlist exploring faith, ethics, and clear practice in our digital spiritual life.